Hello, it's Karen Burniston here with an assembly video for one of our die sets. This is die number 1210, the Fireplace pop-up, and we also have Fireplace Extras 1 and 2. Now you can check out all of our die designs at KarenBurniston.com. I'll be making two cards in the video today. One will be a Christmas-themed fireplace card using Fireplace Extras 1, and then I will do just kind of a year-round hello card using Fireplace Extras 2. The base die is the Fireplace pop-up, and it comes with 8 pieces. Everything that you see here, the ability to basically make the structure of your pop-up fireplace, plus the little dangling boots when you want to do those Christmas cards. You've got a little pop-up platform to go on top of the fireplace or within the fireplace to animate the fire. It is a slimline friendly design. And then the extras sets are just decorator pieces that are sized to fit the fireplace perfectly. So with Extras 1, you have all of those Christmas items, and then with Extras 2, you have more of your year-round items, and of course you can mix and match between the two sets. Okay, let's dive right in and show how to assemble the base set. Okay, card size is your first choice, and you can make different size cards with this die set. The hearth piece is exactly 4 1/4 inches wide. So when you're doing a long A2, it will span the entire distance. I decided to go a little larger and do a 4 3/4 by 6 on my tall card, and then a 5 by 5 square on my other card. And then I just went stash diving and found some papers that would work well for the wall and the floor. So that the back of my fireplace doesn't look like wallpaper, I cut 2 1/4 inch squares for that. And then this piece is die cut. It's actually the piece that's used for the mantle and the hearth. So step 1 is going to be to glue down the hearth. And I'm using my LINECO neutral pH adhesive in my fine tip bottle, and we do sell both of those items on our website. So for the hearth, I just want to butt it right up to the fold on the floor side, and then I'm just centering it. So for this card, it's going to go almost end to end, but we'll leave just a little bit on the sides. And then for the square, that's just used so that the back of the fireplace, when you're looking through it, doesn't look like wallpaper. So I'm just going to center that-ish, so it doesn't have to be perfect because it's a little bit wider than the opening. So I'm going to be working on both of these cards simultaneously. So whatever I do for the first one, then I'm just going to repeat it with the second. So getting that hearth piece on and the little square for the background. And then I'll set those cards aside while I work on the fireplaces. This is the mechanism that animates the fireplace. A light or medium weight cardstock is fine. You do not have to use a heavy weight for this die. You can use any die cutting machine that can accommodate a wafer thin die, and today I'm going to use my Spellbinders Platinum 6. So this is a great chance to just go to your scrap bin and find a piece of cardstock that's about maybe the color of your hearth, and it doesn't have to be perfect because it's going to be completely covered up in the finished card. The boots come with the base set, but they are optional, so I'll be using them on the Christmas version, but then not on the other. And there is also a die that will cut the cuffs for the boots. And if you cut the little pegs off the top, you can use those boots as standalone boots, maybe for a snowman. Okay, folding the mechanism starts with the tapered tab. That is a valley fold, so I folded the base towards myself. And then this center section has 3 more folds that all fold the same way. 1, 2, 3 folds, and that will bring that end around to the tapered tab. Now I'm not going to glue it yet, I'm just finding the folds. This one here is a mountain fold down, same on the other side. And then there are little tabs at the bottom that also fold to the back. I just find it easier to fold towards myself first and then reverse it. If in the course of reversing it I got a little off, I just want to make sure that I get those straight. Okay, now before I glue the tapered tab to that box, I want to have access to those little ovals for the one that needs the Santa's boots. So for Santa's boots, I'm going to, with the pegs at the top, fold in 1/2 of the peg. So I don't have to fold them both in, just one. And then I can hook the side that I didn't fold in through the hole and then get the peg through and unfold the side to lock it into place, and then it will dangle there. So then repeat that on the other side. It doesn't matter which side, just whichever side feels more natural. Fold one side of the peg in, kind of hold it down while you hook the other side through the oval, push it through, and then unfold on the other side to lock it into place. So you can definitely take advantage of those pegs to animate other items dangling in the fireplace. You would just trim off most of the boot, leave yourself enough that you can glue something to it, and then you can swap that out for another item dangling in the opening. Okay, tapered tab attaches to the other side of the box. So I'm just going to do that in the flat position by collapsing the box down, making sure that everything is straight, and attaching that tapered tab. And then once that glue sets up, I like to just work the box in the other direction as well, so collapse it the opposite way. Okay, so that is the structure of the fireplace that allows it to pop up inside the card. And that is ready now to be decorated with a fireplace, but let me repeat that process with my brown one for my year-round card. Now this one I'm not going to add any Santa's boots, so I'm just going to do the folding. I can immediately attach the tapered tab because I'm not having anything dangling in the opening. Again, doing that in the flat position is a little easier. Then I work the folds the other way as well. Then out here, these fold down on the sides, and then the tabs at the bottom fold under. All right, and now I have a second one ready for a fireplace. So the piece that's used as the hearth and the mantle, that rectangle has an optional stencil and emboss feature in it. So if you sponge ink through the die, then you'll get that wood grain texture on the mantle. And then there is a score line in it. It's not up the middle. It's a little bit off center, but I always find it easier to fold towards myself first and then reverse it. And these pieces do not require cardstock. You can see that I'm using a double-sided paper for this one. And then I just clean the dies if I've sponged ink through them by just squirting a little water on the die and then wiping it off with a rag. So no kind of harsh chemicals or anything required. The other way that feature can be used is with an embossing sandwich. So I'm swapping out for an embossing sandwich and running the die through. Now you can either cut first and then emboss, or you can emboss first and then cut. With a brand new die, I like to do the embossing step first because it's really easy to set the die right back into those grooves again, swap out my machine for a cutting sandwich, and then run it back through to cut. So that's just a cool way to use that mantle with just a nice raised texture on it, sort of with or without ink. In this case, I'm not going to ink it. I'm just going to leave it as a tone-on-tone embossed texture. Once again, I'm going to find the fold line. I always find it easier to fold towards myself first and then reverse it. The brickwork on the die is also done through a stencil emboss feature. So I've embossed the fireplace and then I'm just sponging through it with a few different colors of red ink. And I did the embossing step first, so I'll still have to go back through and cut it. But you can see how that looks. And then another option would be after die cutting to then maybe sponge more ink on it without the die to kind of soften the grout lines. For my other fireplace, I also embossed the brick texture. So I've got raised bricks, and then without using the die, I'm going to use some white ink and a blending tool to sponge ink all over it. And then I am going to use some clear embossing powder and then heat that up to give a cool texture to the front of the fireplace. So definitely just try different things with that fireplace. You can style it all sorts of ways. All right, for adding it to the mechanism, I've got 3 lineup folds, okay? Not this one. It's just the one at the bottom and the one at the top. So I can add my adhesive all over the mechanism, top and bottom. And then the spots I'm looking to line up is I usually start on the left-hand side there, just making sure that the opening starts right at the fold line at the bottom and then right along the inside edge of the fireplace. So getting those 2 lined up, and then if I do a good job there, then the top will line up perfectly with that fold as well. So that'll just happen automatically. Now here's what I mean about not this one. See, the fireplace mechanism is a little bit higher than the opening where the boots are, and that's so that the pegs of the boots don't show. So that upper inner edge is not a line-up edge. You have to use the bottom and the top for lining up. Then I can add my adhesive to the top of the box to add the mantle. And then for that, I'm just going to center it. It's a little bit wider than the fireplace, so I'm just looking at the front, making sure it's centered, and then pressing it to the top of the box. And once I get the top on, I can lift the front edge, add some glue across the front of the fireplace, and then seal down the front of the mantle to the front of the fireplace. So very easy to add the fireplace to the mechanism, and much easier to do if you do it before you've added anything to the card. And then I'm just going to repeat that process with my other fireplace and other mechanism. Now for adding the fireplace to the card, I like to start with the bottom tabs. So I add my strong adhesive to those two tabs. They're sticking out the bottom of the fireplace. Then I'm going to flip the whole fireplace over, lay it on the floor, and bring those tabs up until they start right in the fold of the card. And I am just looking to center my fireplace in this card. But of course, position along the fold is completely up to you. So if you had a long card, you might want to have your fireplace off center so you could put something else on the other side of it. So that's completely up to you. But I'm just centering it, and it's just those two base tabs that are glued down starting at the fold. And then see how it's going to look here, just like this. All right, attaching the other half should be done in the closed position, and you do that by pushing this tab right here to collapse the box, but watch the boots because it's easy to crumple them if you don't lift them up and make sure that they clear that square that was put on earlier. Then I add my adhesive all over the back of the box. Notice that I can see the top of the mantle in this closed position. Then I close the card against that exposed adhesive. And then just give it a second to set up. And then the first time I open it, I go kind of slowly. I give it a little help. I reach in, make sure that that box is really glued down well. And then I've got my pop-up fireplace inside the card. And then I repeat that exact same process for the other card. Once again, I am just centering the fireplace, push it down. This time I don't have any boots that I have to worry about. Add my adhesive to the box, close the card against the exposed adhesive. So exact same assembly with or without boots. Okay, so for those year-round cards, you may want to add the fire. So the fire and the log come with the set. You just glue the flat side of the log against the base of the fire. And then there is this little small pop-up box mechanism that's included in the set. So there are 3 folds in that, and you fold them all the same way to make a little box. And you can choose whether you want to glue that in so that it comes out a little further from the back wall, or whether you glue it in so that it is a little bit taller and closer to the back wall. So that's completely up to you. But what you do is you glue down one end of the box so that it butts up to the fold of the card. So I'm doing this inside the fireplace right now so that I can animate the fire. Then I fold on the middle fold, add my adhesive to the outer tab again, keeping everything flat. I close the card against the exposed adhesive. So this is just a standard little small box pop-up. You can see that after it sets up, it just creates that small little box against the fold. And I can use that then to animate the fire. So I'll just put the glue on the front of the box and then attach the fire to it. And that way the fire isn't glued to the back wall and it's kind of in the middle there of the fireplace. Now you use that same little box pop-up mechanism on the top of the fireplace for mantle decorations. And you are welcome to cut it right up the middle, kind of hot dog style, to make thinner ones. If you have real small embellishments, you may want to have even skinnier box mechanisms. So I would suggest doing the folding first, then cut it up the middle so that you split it and make 2. And then once again, you just glue one half down right at the edge of the mantle to where it touches the back wall, fold it in half, put the glue on the other outer tab. And then this part's a little fiddly because you've got to find a way to keep it flat while you close the card so that it'll pick up the other half of the box. So you can build those boxes up on top of the fireplace as well. You can put as many of them as you have decorations. Speaking of decorations, let's talk about the other die sets now. First, we'll start with Fireplace Extras 1, which are the Christmas decorations. There are 2 dies in the set that will cut matching stockings, but they are mirror image from each other. And there is an optional stencil emboss feature on them to be able to add the toe and heel reinforcement areas. And then I just inked the rest of the stockings, and then there's a die in the set to do the 4 cuffs. There's a nice long swag in the set that will fit right across the front of the fireplace. And that looks lovely out of whatever color you choose. I decided on a gold glitter for this card. And then I just need to add my 4 stockings. There is a bow die in the set. It actually cuts 2 at a time, so I've added silver bows to my swag. The die includes a fireplace grate that will just span the opening, so I just used glue on the 2 outside edges. And then there is a set of fireplace tools that looks good on either side of the fireplace. Next, I've cut the sprig of holly and the set of 3 berries, and I'm going to glue those together. There is a set of 3 candles, and I am just using my Copic markers to color in the flames. And since I'm planning on putting a mirror on the back wall, I'm going to go ahead and flip those candles over and color the back of the flames as well, because they will be visible in the mirror. And for my candles, I'm just going to attach them to that pop-up at the top of the mantle. So a little glue on the front, and then right along the bottom I can add my sprig of holly. Now, since I have room on the back wall for some decorations, I'm going to take another swag, cut it in half, and then so that I can bend it, curve it into a swoop, I'm going to cut about halfway through on 2 spots of the swag, and then bend the swag into a pleasing swoop. So that's just another idea for styling with that swag. The 2 smallest circles from our Circles Crosshatch set worked great to make a mirror, and then I embellished it with a little bow at the top. And then since I still had wall space at the top, I decided to put my greeting there. So I'm using Merry Christmas out of our word set 3 Holiday. 2 more crosshatch circles to make a rug, and the inner die is actually embossed into the piece instead of cut, so that it stays a single piece but gets a cool inner border. So all of our crosshatch shapes work wonderfully to make rugs. For card front, I'm just using one of our pattern plates. So we have a holly pattern plate that comes with the holly and the berries. I've assembled that and tied a ribbon around it. That's A2 size, so when I glue it on the front, it'll be just a little bit smaller. And then I just did a small sprig of holly for the inside of the card. So my finished card measures 4 3/4 by 6. It's a top fold card. I would use an A7 envelope, and it's just such a fun little scene for a Christmas card. Okay, so that is the Fireplace Pop-Up plus Fireplace Extras 1. Now let's look at Fireplace Extras 2. Now this set also includes a fireplace grate, and once again I just used the adhesive on the outside, but it's not the same grate, so you can definitely mix and match between the 2 sets if you have them both. Instead of fireplace tools, this one comes with a basket of firewood. So I just put the wood logs into the basket and glue that to the front of the fireplace. For the clock, there's the clock die itself and then the circle, and the circle has a stencil feature to be able to add the clock hands. So I'm just using a black pen down through the die, then I add the adhesive around the circle on the back of the clock, and then glue that over the top of the circle. And of course you could rotate that to have different times showing on the clock. There is a little square frame in the set, and oh my gosh, it's so fun to go through your scraps of pattern paper and just find things to frame. So in this case, I found this older piece of pattern paper that had these fashion ladies on it, and I just used the square die to cut out their heads, and then the frame die over the top. And then the other items include a little vase, and there's a stem and some flowers and a little heart. There is a house plant that you can assemble. So different tiny little pieces that look adorable on the fireplace. Now, one styling tip would be to maybe cut a little twine and tie it around the vase of flowers. And then there is a wreath in the set. And what I've decided to do on my wreath is to glue 2 of them together but not have them line up perfectly so that I get a little shadow of white behind my orange one. Okay, and now I just get to start building my scene. So I've added 3 little box pop-ups to the top of the fireplace. One of them I left it wide because the pot would cover it, but the other 2 I cut them in half so that they would be a little thinner. And I'm going to just add my adhesive to each one of those little pop-up platforms and put my items on the mantle. And then my wreath and all my framed ladies are going to go to the back wall. Now, I don't know who lives in this house, but I like her style. And I also thought, maybe she has a cat. So there is a black cat in our skeleton and bat set, and I drew a face on it and added a cute glitter collar. and then an extra little box pop-up to the front of the fireplace to animate the cat. I went with our short rectangles crosshatch for the rug for this room, once again embossing the smaller one into the larger one for some dimension. And then for a greeting, just our big script hello. And I felt like this quirky little room deserved a quirky little card front, so I went with our flowers pattern plate, redid some of the embellishments, and just tucked them kind of in and amongst the flowers, almost bulletin board style. My finished card measures 5 by 5 in the closed position. It will fit in an A7 envelope for mailing. And I just love how with these Fireplace extras, you can really personalize the room and make some fun scenes. But the extras are optional because even the base set has what you need to make a lovely pop-up fireplace with either dangling boots or a fun roaring fire. I used pattern plates for my card fronts today, but another great choice is our holiday house die, because then it kind of shows the outside of the house on the front of the card, and then you open it and you see the inside scene. So I used the holiday house on both of the packaging samples that you see on the Fireplace extras. I love to end assembly videos with some inspiration by our very talented international design team. You can assemble the fireplace as a flat or pop-dotted scene for the front or the inside of a card, as Karen Aiken has done here, and you can see that she's mixed the two extra sets together. And then here's some out-of-the-box thinking by Sandy. Dude, happy birthday. And then she styled the fireplace as a tool bench. So I just love this idea. Our tool charms are used above it. Great way to get even more mileage out of your fireplace die. Jen Webster made a haunted fireplace card that even has glow-in-the-dark elements. So I just think this is an amazing scene. And there were a few takes on haunted fireplaces. Here is one by Sue Small Kreider, and look at how the candles are coming out of the pumpkins and her little framed skeletons. And yet another haunted fireplace, this time by Karen Aiken, and notice that she swapped out Santa's boots for creepy hands attached to those pegs. And of course, our pop-up dies work wonderfully with all the stamps that you have in your collection. So here's a great example by Lois. Nikki Foden with a wonderful Christmas fireplace scene. And I like how she used holly to make a poinsettia, and she added an elf and some presents to the front of the fireplace. Here's a great example by Frances Byrne of using the fireplace in a slimline size card, and then she put that off center so that she had room for a Christmas tree next to it. And then Lois made this wonderful Christmas scene with the fireplace pop-up, and notice that on her rug she has a push here. And when she pushes the button, the fireplace lights up. So a great idea for using easy lights with the fireplace pop-up. And then another great Christmas card by Frances, and I just love the way she's mixed the two extra sets together. The Fireplace Pop-Up, Fireplace Extras 1 and Fireplace Extras 2 are available at a lot of your favorite local and online retailers, as well as from our website, KarenBurniston.com, starting today. Thanks for watching. If you click on the website link, you'll go to KarenBurniston.com, where you can purchase these dies as well as find links to our other social media accounts. You can subscribe to this YouTube channel and check out some of my other videos. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.